Athletic Center on the campus of UMass Boston. It is postseason volleyball in the Little East Conference. The Little East semifinals between the defending champion UMass Boston Beacons, the #1 seed, and 4th-seeded Plymouth State. With Seth Orensky, Bill Spalding, glad to be with you. Well, this is a rematch of last year's championship matchup, a championship where the Beacons swept 3-0, but Plymouth State comes in with good momentum coming off a quarterfinal win.
Yeah, you look at this Plymouth State team, they were able to take down Western Connecticut State in a pretty comfortable win up in New Hampshire. This Panthers team has been working towards this spot. They have a very strong senior class. You look at it, Claire Sporer has had so much success as an outside hitter. Brenna Peruch, one of the top liberos, and Megan Bailey, the setter. This is their last chance to beat the Beacons and have a chance to play for an LEC championship match against maybe an easier opponent for them in the Keene State Out. So we'll see if they can finally get over the hump. On the other side, UMass Boston, it's a small senior class, but it's a hungry team overall coming off one of their best stretches of the year.
Yeah, big weekend in New York at Skidmore College with 3 wins. We'll preview this matchup and more when we come back. You're watching the Beacons Broadcast Network on LittleEast.tv.
Paris changed my life, and I got there through UMass. Those very specific seminal moments in Paris, the subway. A man in a tuxedo walked in, and a woman in a long gown. And it was stunning. It all hit me. It was like a lightning bolt. There was this world of beauty and style that I wanted to be a part of. That was the beginning of the journey. And that all came through the University of Massachusetts. And that was really a key moment for me. That's one of those moments you never forget.
Closing in on the start of the conference semifinal between the UMass Boston and Plymouth State. Again with Seth Orensky, I'm Bill Spalding. These teams very familiar with each other, particularly in the postseason. They've met 5 times, Beacons 3-2. They've won the last 3. We mentioned last year's championship. But if you look at the regular season matchup, UMass Boston still trying to get itself back to 500 all time.
Yeah, UMass Boston trails 13-12 all time. You look at Plymouth State, one of the few programs that's had any kind of success coming into the Clark Athletic Center. 2 teams have won here in the past 7 years at the Clark Athletic Center. Western Connecticut State in the LEC semifinals when this senior class were sophomores, and then Plymouth State defeated the Beacons and actually hosted an LEC title match back in 2012. So Plymouth, it's a little bit before some of these seniors were here, but still they can take from that. It's not easy coming into this gym. The Beacon seniors have never lost at home during the regular season, just 1 loss overall against LSU's foes.
One all-time conference championship for Plymouth State. That came back in 2004, a conference postseason championship. So they're looking to move 1 step closer, as are the Beacons, who are coming off their 9th straight regular season championship. One of the reasons the Beacons have been so consistent is the play of Eileen this season, just a dominant outside hitter.
Eileen became the 5th player in program history this past weekend to reach 1,000 kills, 840 digs, a chance to become the 3rd all-time player to become a member of both 1,000 clubs. And it's how she's sort of filled in for some of the departed players. Colleen Cohen, a great outside hitter. Julian Murphy, maybe the second best middle hitter between her and Shannon Thompson in program history. But Eileen has picked up her game across the board. Career highs in kills percent. Her digs are up. She's, again, the Beacons' top server. She's a player who means so much to this program. Over the weekend, named the Skidmore Invitational co-MVP, 40 kills, 40 digs. The Beacons went 3-0. She's going to have another big match tonight.
And that's the key you mentioned. She'll be out the entire rotation. She can play from the back. She can play from the front as well. For more on this matchup, let's check in with our Little East Conference semifinal preview here on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
Yeah, New York was good for us, especially to end the year that way. We gradually got better and better in every single match. We passed well, we served well, and I think that was the key to why we had so much success. Everything else kind of fell into place at that point. All year we've been trying to put it all together, and I think this weekend, having the success we did, will be a great start going into conference playoffs. Yeah, with some new faces here, it's tough to always go into postseason. You got to battle those nerves, but this weekend provided a lot of confidence for us, not only as individuals but as a team. And I think we're going to rely heavily on each other to get the job done. I think Amelia did a great job this season for us, was up and down a little bit, and I think she's going to have a great postseason because she did have such a great weekend. Even though she is a freshman, she is a year older, so she's a little bit mature in that sense, and I think she'll have a good weekend. Carson coming into the weekend as well. I mean, she brings a lot of energy to the court. She does a lot of things for us, and she seems so far to be impervious to the pressures of the game and the adjustment, and I think she's going to carry that over as well. And I think this week is going to be a good week for us. Plymouth and us have seen each other a lot, and I I think regardless, we're both confident in terms of knowing each other. They're a very well-coached team. They are good offensively in terms of the tempo they like to run. They spread the ball out to all their hitters. They run a ton of middles. Defensively, they're very, very strong. Probably one of the strongest teams in the conference. So I think we know each other pretty well at this point. I think throughout all the film I've got an opportunity to watch, I think the one thing was clear is that they didn't play well here versus us this year. And I don't expect them to do that again. I expect them to come in, play to the level that we've seen all year in film, and I think it's going to be a good match. Yeah, I think we could take some stuff and tendencies from that match. Even though the results weren't what they wanted, you can see what they were trying to do and what they were looking to do. And I think obviously from what we've seen as coaches for that match, we've seen a couple of things. But I think for the most part, we're going to go with our guts and see the things that we've saw time and time again in the 5 to 6 films that we've got to scout. And kind of use those as a basis. I know he's going to have some adjustments. He's a great coach. He's going to look to kind of have a trick up his sleeve and try to play us a little differently. So we each got to be ready for that, to be able to make that quick in-game adjustment to offset it. But for us, if we can just handle our business in serving and passing and be able to understand what they're trying to do, I think we could have a good day. I mean, establishing the middle is going to be a key part to this, but I think establishing all our hitters is really going to be the main part. We have 5 hitters, 6 hitters that are very capable of putting the ball away. We need to establish that early in terms of everyone can get set at any moment, and we got to distribute the ball well as setters to make sure that we're putting our hitters in good situations. If we can get all our hitters going, I think then we can have a lot of success. We can't rely on 1 to 2 people to put this away for us. That kind of distribution is not going to provide us success. So yeah, getting our middles going as well as some of our other hitters early will be key to this match, so that way we can open up some things and get some one-on-ones later on.
Move closer to the start here between UMass Boston and Plymouth State. Beacons and Panthers in a Little East Conference semifinal matchup. Let's take a look at the head-to-head statistics for these two teams coming into this season. Beacons, when they played Plymouth State in the regular season, held them to a 0-0-0 hitting percentage with just phenomenal defense, and that's well below the usual average for the Panthers. Pretty good hitting team at 178 on the year. One of the strengths for the Beacons all season has been the dominance at the net. You can see those blocks per set, near 2%.
Yeah, and that all starts with Sarah Doyle leading the conference in both solo blocks and overall blocks. I think the thing about it is, I mean, UMass Boston has seen their numbers soar over the past 3 weeks or so, offensively increasing, defensively. They've just been playing better volleyball overall, even if they're not consistently getting the results after a slow start. For Plymouth State, they're a team that relies on their defense. One of the better defensive teams in the conference. That's something Michael Houlihan focused on. They play a similar offense to UMass Boston, but a little bit slower. Part of why the Beacons were able to play such good defense in that first match, they see it in practice every day.
Panthers serve incredibly well. Also, you see the more than 2 aces per set try to steal some points at the service line. Let's take a look at the team leaders. And while we're on the topic of aces, how about serving specialist Shannon Howland, who has 57 aces so far this season?
Yeah, I mean, she hasn't done much except for serve, but if you're going to have one responsibility, do it well. And Howland, the Del Mar, New York native, has done a phenomenal job there. Tied for the league lead in aces, leading the league with her .59 aces per set. So she's a player that you really have to focus on. You can't let yourself mentally get down. Otherwise, 2, 3, 4 aces in a row, and all of a sudden the set looks very differently.
We've talked about the top offensive players for each team, Eileen Shee and Claire Sporer. How about the liberos, 2 of the best in the conference, Michaela Kiyanko and Brenna Peruch?
In my mind, the top 2, when you look at it statistically, number 1 and 2 in both digs and digs per set, a pair of seniors who have had really strong careers. And this is going to be a really interesting one. Peruch didn't have a big match the first time. The Beacons spread the offense out. 5 players with 5 kills or more. If they can't get a similar thing going today, Peruch might be able to read the Beacons a little bit better and get a huge match, as she's been playing very well down the stretch.
Plymouth State led by Coach Chris Kilmer, and the Panthers, like the Beacons, have really hit the recruiting trail hard. Players from all over the place. You look at this Plymouth State roster, senior laden. You've got players from Oregon, Florida, Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, along with some local New Hampshire products as well. For the Beacons, Michael Houlihan, the UMass Boston head coach in his 5th season. Team has been very strong. They consistently perform here at the Little East Conference tournament level, but with a young group, maybe one of the toughest coaching jobs for Mike Houlihan so far.
Well, the Beacons lost one of, if not the best senior class in program history, losing 4 players who were all conference, all region, all Americans throughout their career. And then they lost their top freshman in Melanie Fida. She transferred out to California. So this has not been an easy season. You start 0-6. You go up and down. You lose a lot of tight matches. They didn't get a 5-set win until this past weekend. Michael Houlihan at points has been frustrated, but the big thing is this team has progressed and they're playing better volleyball, and a big part of it has been some of their underclassmen have taken steps forward. Amelia Chepievska is hitting a little bit more consistently, and Carson Comments has stepped in as that second setter and done a tremendous job.
Let's take a look at the starting lineups, and we'll start with the lineup for Plymouth State. We mentioned their top outside hitter, Claire Sporer. Good in the middle with Ari Linden and Francie Schaefer. Alexis Bowers gives another good option hitting. And the setter, Megan Bailey, is a very consistent setter. She'll rotate the whole way around. Close to 900 assists this season for Megan Bailey. 2
different lineups for Plymouth State. They're going to have that one setter playing all the way around. For UMass Boston, we're going to see Rachel Maslak, the team's top setter. Statistically, she'll play as a hitter when she's not setting, and you'll see Carson Comments and even potentially Christina Elliott. So there's a reason why Maslak, who comes in with just over 500 assists, doesn't look like the same statistical player. Sure, if she was playing all the way around, she would have similar stats. But, yeah, you have to give Bailey a lot of credit. Has done a tremendous job throughout her 4-year career.
Well, speaking of those Beacon starters, let's let them introduce themselves tonight.
Hi, I'm Alex Gibbs, a senior hitter, and I'm from Barracks Ranch, Texas. Hi, I'm Rachel Maslak,
the University
and I'm a
of
junior setter from
Massachusetts,
Berlin
Boston.
Center, Ohio.
It's just minutes from downtown, and the Princeton Review calls it one of the best values in the country. A nationally recognized institution of academic excellence and research, UMass Boston offers more than 150 undergraduate and graduate programs, 16 Division III sports, and more than 100 student organizations. To learn more about the opportunities waiting for you at UMass Boston, visit in person or online. UMass Boston, a research university with a teaching soul.
Celebrate the soggy shoes and the slow starts. Celebrate the lessons learned along the way. These are the wins. Not the shiny, nail-biting kind. These are the last a lifetime kind.
Hi, I'm Alex Gibbs, a senior hitter, and I'm from Barracks Ranch, Texas. Hi, I'm Rachel Maslak, and I'm a junior setter from Berlin Center, Ohio.
Hi, I'm Amelia Chepievska. I'm a sophomore outside hitter from St. Paul, Minnesota.
Hi, I'm Eileen. I'm a junior outside hitter from San Francisco, California.
Hi, I'm Ariana Casengol, and I'm a sophomore middle from Melbourne, Florida.
I'm Michaela Kianco. I'm a senior libero from Clearwater, Florida.
Hi, I'm Sarah Doyle, a sophomore middle hitter from Glendale, California.
So those are your starters for UMass Boston. Apologize for technical difficulties here on the Beacons Broadcast Network as we get set for a crucial Little East Conference semifinal matchup between the Beacons and the Plymouth State Panthers. Let's take a look at the keys to today's match. We talked about it early, Seth, controlling the middle. Beacons have done that all season long.
Yeah, and it starts with Sarah Doyle, but they also get great contributions from Ariana Casengol. We've talked a little bit about all of those. Claire Sporer hit negative in that first match. The Beacons can do anything similar to that. They'll have a great chance to win today as well.
Pause for the anthem and be back after this. All right, here we go. Little East Conference semifinal between UMass Boston and Plymouth State. It's a rematch of last year's championship, which the Beacons swept. In the regular season this year, the Beacons also swept Plymouth State. First set was close, 25-23. The second two sets were runaways for the Beacons, 25-15 and 25-15. UMass Boston in the black, Plymouth State in the green. In that Plymouth State starting lineup, 4 seniors, so a very important match for the seniors looking to extend their career. Beacons are a much younger group, very limited in terms of seniors. Alex Gibbs, a senior in that rotation for the Beacons, but for the most part, Gibbs, Kianko, the libero, your only 2 upperclassmen. Everybody else a junior or less. Doesn't mean they want this game, though, any less. As Beacons try to continue their success and get back to the NCAA tournament again this season. Referees for today's match, Carol Burke is the first referee, Eric Nagai the second referee. The line judges are Brad Titrington and Joe Alfonsi. Both sides will rotate their liberos in to start things off. Michaela Kianko and Brenna Peruch, the top 2 in the conference in terms of digs and digs per set. Beacons will start with the service. Rachel Maslak, who's been one of the team's MVPs this year, 197 kills, 514 assists, and 141 digs, but she opens up the semifinals with a service wide. Got to combat the nerves early in the playoffs. For Plymouth State, they played a playoff match 2 nights ago, got some of the nerves out of their system. For the Beacons, this is the first playoff match after a first-round bye. This is the service specialist, Shannon Howland, and she opens up by going into the net. 57 aces this year for Howland, but missed that one low. So 1-all after the opening 2 points. Eileen Shee, the junior from San Francisco, serves for the Beacons. First swing for Claire Spohr, blocked down. Maslak sets it up. Big swing, and Amelia Shepvievska has the kill.
That was a great look for UMass Boston there. Finding Shepvievska early. She's been red hot as of late. 3 straight matches with double-digit kills.
Up to 232 kills this season, but there's a second Beacon service error. This one on Shee. It rotates to Ari Linden. Plymouth State is not a big team. Linden's listed as a middle blocker. She's 5'7". Spohr on the outside, their top hitter, 5'6". Gibbs off the block. Ball's kept alive. It's a free ball for the Beacons. Maslak to the middle. Kassengall stuffed. On the other side, into the net, go the Beacons. Point to Plymouth State. A 3-2 lead for the Panthers. Another service from Linden. Maslak, tight set. Kassengall tips it over and down. Ariana Kassengall saves that point after Rachel Maslak took it from over the top of the net.
And this is a similar start to that first match between these 2 sides in that neither side was able to get a lot of early momentum. In the end, the Beacons were able to pull away thanks to some strong serving, but the first set could be huge considering Plymouth State couldn't match that.
Talk about strong serving. Michaela Kianko right down the line for the first Beacons ace today. Yeah, that first set, 25-23 when these teams met. Second 2 sets, all Beacons, 25-15 in both the second and the third set. Kianko goes for the float serve, and that's a third service error for the Beacons.
Well, you see this a lot with UMass Boston. They generate a lot of service errors, but it's all part of the plan, not to give up points, but to serve very difficultly. The Beacons are not a team that wants to just get it over. They want to get you out of your offense, put you out of rotation, and make life a little bit difficult. So, whereas that ball was just floated over, the Beacons have just missed a corner. They've hit it hard into the net a couple times.
Here's Amelia Shepvievska. Hard service. Well returned by Peruch. Maslak to the outside. Gibbs. Another dig for Peruch. From the back, this is tapped over and down. Finesse shot from Alexis Bowers, who found the line. It's important for Plymouth State. We mentioned they're a bit undersized. They need to pick their spots.
Yeah, they're not a team that's going to overpower you a ton. That time from Bowers, it wasn't your typical open hand. She just punched it over, and it took a very weird spin. The Beacons weren't expecting it.
Carson Commons scrambles for the set. Rachel Maslak drills it down. 198th kill of the season for Rachel Maslak.
The combination of Commons setting Maslak has been extremely successful all year. I don't know if it's because they're both from Ohio or just because
the Buckeye connection?
Well, yeah. Commons and Maslak work extra together because they're both setters. So as a setter, you have setter drills, and you work outside with the other setters pretending to be hitters.
Clean swing for Shee. First kill for Eileen Shee, the 370th of her junior season.
Yeah, this is a much better last couple of points for UMass Boston as they're finally getting a couple of the pins right now, and they're opening up Plymouth's defense.
Great service, Peruch. The overpass caught Shee off guard. And that's batted down. Francie Schaefer at the net hammers back a point that likely should have been the Beacons after the overpass.
She just mistimed that. She let it get a little bit in too tight, and that ball never should have ended up on the Beacon side.
Another service for Peruch, senior from Cave Creek, Arizona. In the middle, Doyle. That's picked up. Well done by Megan Bailey. The outside, Tyner is stuffed. Swing for Bowers, blocked down. Doyle combines with Maslak, first block today for the Beacons.
Yeah, this is a lot better for UMass Boston. We're seeing the Beacons get some aggressive swings, but also Plymouth State, that defense we talked about in the pregame, Peruch has had a couple of nice digs, and as a team, they're really strong defensively, whoever's out there on the floor.
Doyle's long, fifth service error for the Beacons. That means 5 of the 7 points for Plymouth State have come off service errors.
Certainly something the Beacons are going to talk about during the first timeout.
8-7 lead for UMass Boston. Winner here will play the winner of the 2 versus 3 matchup between Keene State and Eastern Connecticut State, just underway up in New Hampshire.
The pylon just came off on the far side. And I don't know how the pylon comes off without a player being called for going into the net. Because
maybe the antenna just was not secured as it should have been. Referees will get it all set.
Good job by our down official, though, recognizing that. That could have been really dangerous.
Yep, sticking out like a jousting rod toward the Beacon side. I guess, what is that, a sword probably, a jousting rod? I don't know what she actually called the weapon you used in jousting.
Well, that's a very easy Google search coming up as they make sure, and it looks like we are set to play.
Big match in the picture.
Lance?
A lance, good point. Okay. Should watch more Game of Thrones. Probably would have known that.
A Knight's Tale.
To the center, tough over hit for Kassengall to keep it alive. Diving, Gibbs got a piece. Maslak scrambling, and it's down and out. We're back to 8-all. The Beacons win, they'll of course host the final as the number 1 seed. If Plymouth State wins, Plymouth State would take on the winner of Keene State and Eastern Connecticut State at either Keene State or Eastern Connecticut State. Partially blocked. Comments to the outside, Maslak, boom! There's that Buckeye connection again, and the Beacons are back on top.
Well, right now, if you're Michael Holohead, you love your offense. Your service has been a little bit lacking. On the other side, if you're Brett Kilmer, your defense is keeping you in this first set. You really haven't gotten going offensively, but you have to be happy that you're only down 1.
To the outside, Shee off her back foot, and that's long. Set took her away from the net a bit, so it's 9-all.
Yeah, that was a bad choice there by Maslak. She was pulling Shee behind the 3-meter line, and there wasn't much she could do there as her entire body was falling back away from the net.
Long service, and that's the second consecutive service error for Shannon Howland, who is a serving specialist for this Plymouth State team, generally steals them a couple points a match. To the center, Sporer hammers it down. Claire Sporer, a senior twin sister of Grace Sporer on this Plymouth State roster, and that's her first kill today. Top hitter on this Plymouth State squad. Service from Linden. To the outside, Gibbs. It's picked up by Bowers. Here's Sporer again off the block. The back row, Shee picks out the corner. Second kill for Eileen Shee. Beacons back on top in a seesawing first set.
Yeah, and when you get a set like this where you're even through the first 20 points, 25, 30 points, then it becomes a race to 10, a race to 12. At that point, one little run of 3 or 4 points becomes so much more important.
Oh, Sarah Doyle with the emphatic rejection after Francie Schaefer got the swing on the backslide.
Well, Schaefer stands at 5'8", and Doyle is 6'2", so that's a battle that's going to be difficult for Plymouth State to win all night long.
Mentioned the two middle blockers for Plymouth State. Linden and Schaefer are 5'7" and 5'8", but sometimes it's not size Plymouth State has shown here. They have been very strong defensively, technically sound, and they're back within a point again.
Schaefer did a nice job picking out a spot there and getting away from the block.
Maslak up for Doyle. It's kept alive. Good work by Bailey. Here's Sporer. Big swing off the rafters, and it's 12-all. Second kill for Sporer, a Division I transfer from Pacific University.
Yeah, she and her sister Grace both played at Pacific. Her sister Grace actually spent 2 years, while Claire's a 3-year player with the Panthers.
Ball handling error goes on Maslak, the first today. Start to add up the errors now. The Beacons have 2 attack errors, 4 service errors, a block error, and a ball handling error. So that adds up to 8 points right there and adds up to a timeout with the Beacons trailing 13-12.
A little bit of nerves and some adjustments by Plymouth State. Michael Houlihan said in the preview, this is a much better team, Plymouth State is, than what we saw the first time just a couple weeks ago. I think Plymouth's doing a few different things that Michael Houlihan and Kirsten Morrison, his assistant, are going to work on as this set and as this match progresses.
Plymouth State this year in the regular season wins over UMass Dartmouth, Western Connecticut State, Rhode Island College, and Southern Maine. Losses to the Beacons, to Keene State, and to EastCon. That's how they ended up in that number 4 seed spot. Beacons 6-1 in the conference, started 6-0 before that upset loss to Southern Maine, but last weekend really bounced back from that loss. A 3-0 weekend at the Skidmore tournament, 3-2 win over Skidmore, 3-1 over Potsdam, and a sweep against Union. Maybe that 5-set win against Skidmore, the most important win there for the Beacons to finally win 1 in 5.
Well, and Skidmore was by far the best of the 3 teams. The Beacons knew going into the weekend that was going to be the tough one. And they did a really nice job, an up-and-down match where the Beacons played a lot of players. So it's the same thing that happened at Southern Maine where UMass Boston lost at 5. The Beacons weren't focused on just, we're going to win this match, we're just going to play our top players. They cut down on their rotation throughout the weekend. Really nice job of not giving in, winning at a tough gym. And now I think this is probably the most confident we've seen the Beacons since they were riding their 6-game winning streak back in late September.
But Plymouth State leads 13-12 in the opening set. That would give the Panthers a huge boost if they take this first set. Maslak to the middle. Doyle. Another good pickup for Bowers. Bowers from the back row. She a diving dig. To the center. Doyle puts it down. Beacons scramble their way to a point. It's 13-all.
That point is all Eileen Shee. A phenomenal dig, one of the hardest hit balls we've seen today from Plymouth State. And a nice job by Doyle just putting it down softly, making sure she landed that ball within the line.
And on the flip side, seems like every single player on this Plymouth State roster is an outstanding digger. That's down off the block. On the backslide, Francie Schaefer picks up her second kill.
Well, you have to be great defensively if you're going to play on a team that you don't have a good block to keep the ball away from you. Tallest player on the team, Elizabeth McLaughlin, at Carabeth Norklin, who we don't expect to see today.
Yep.
And then Jill Tyner, who will see a little time.
Big swing from Doyle. Sarah Doyle heating up early. Couple kills in the last 2 Beacons points. Doyle, Shee, and Maslak each with 2 early kills for the Beacons. And here's one of the 2 Beacons seniors, Alex Gibbs, to serve. She's really picked up her play in her senior season. 96 kills coming in, and that service gives Plymouth State some fits. Beacons on top.
I think that was Peruch with the receiving error there. Doesn't happen often, but see if the Beacons can get a nice little service run going with Gibbs back at the line.
Another tough serve from Gibbs. Leads to a back row swing for Sporer. Comments up for Maslak. Off the block and down. Oh, the comments to Maslak connections 3 for 3 today.
Bill, that's not going to go down as an ace, but it essentially was. It forced Plymouth State out of their rotation. Sporer, a really difficult shot from the back line, and the Beacons able to handle the free ball.
Another good serve from Gibbs. This is just tapped over. Maslak to the outside for Shee. Great dig, Peruch. From the back, Sporer over, hits it. Beacons have rattled off 4 consecutive points, 3 in a row with Gibbs at the service line. And that leads to a Plymouth State timeout, the first for the Panthers, as the Beacons have turned it around since the timeout from Coach Mike Houlihan.
4 of the past 5 points going UMass Boston's way. And I really like the Beacons lineup when they have Kamensk and Rachel Maslak in there, because on that particular play, when the first pass comes from the setter, instead of everyone looking who's going to take the pass, Rachel Maslak's like, well, I can also do this, and it gives UMass Boston a little bit of extra versatility on the floor. Beacons are hitting phenomenally well at this point.
Yep.
It's really just minimizing the errors that have cost them a little bit of flexibility in this set. It could easily be a much larger margin if not for those early errors.
That's what I was about to say, because as good as we've said Plymouth State's been on defense today, the Beacons are hitting .333, 9 kills on 21 swings, so they're making the most of their opportunities. 2 attack errors, so the 9 kills to 2 attack errors is a good ratio. 4 service errors, but none since we were at about 8-8. Beacons have cleaned that up with Gibbs at the service line, and UMass Boston has a couple of aces as well.
This is a big spot for Plymouth State right now. They need a side out desperately. They need to cut back into this deficit. 3 points, not so big. If it becomes 4 or 5 this late in the set, then you're facing some problems, because the last thing Plymouth State wants to do is lose a 7th straight set here in Boston.
Beacons swept Plymouth State earlier on this season and swept them here last year in the Little East Conference Championship. Boy, Gibbs is carving them up with serves right now. Sporer forced into a back row swing. Kamensk back for Maslak. That's blocked. Outside, big swing. Bowers overhit it and did not get the tip. Maslak pulled her arms down late. UMass Boston by 4.
Such good serving from Alex Gibbs. Again, Plymouth State is being forced to set their back line because they're not getting a good first pass.
5th straight service for Gibbs. Float serve this time. To the center, it's blocked. Another swing outside. Tyner off the block. Kiyanko picks it up. Maslak punches it over. Peruch on the slide to the center. Didn't go for Schaefer. Gibbs from the back. Peruch is there again. Back row, Sporer. Good rally here. Shee hammers it down, and the Beacons rattle off another point to go ahead by 5. Eileen Shee's 3rd kill.
Great team play by the Beacons, but give it up for Brenna Peruch. 3 phenomenal digs on that play alone to keep her team in it. And it all started with a really good service reception on a tough serve from Gibbs.
She's up to 6 digs already. That's a service error from Gibbs, but after a run of 6 consecutive serves, you'll take 1.
Yeah, Michael Houlihan just says, shake it off.
Yep.
You've done your job, and now it's up to the Beacons to get a side out soon to keep this lead.
Beacons lead 19-15 in this first set. Peruch backs up Shee. Comes back to Shee. Off her back foot. Somehow got it in play. To the center. Linden's blocked. And the Beacon block earns another point. Guess who? It's Sarah Doyle right in the middle of the action again.
Great job by Doyle, who knows that she has the size advantage. It's all about timing her jumps. But can we go back to that play by Eileen Shee? Readjusting her body, that's really difficult, recognizing where she was on the floor, and she extends the point, and the Beacons eventually win it.
Service from Christina Elliott. To the backside, Jill Tyner. It's dug out by Elliott. It's be a free ball for Plymouth State. Set up by Bailey to the outside. Big swing, and Bowers hammers it right down the chute.
Well, that's something the Beacons have struggled with this year. They got the free ball off the Christina Elliott service, and Cassingle and Maslak right next to each other. Cassingle didn't get much on the swing. A little bit of a lack of communication ends up hurting the Beacons as the Panthers end up with a point.
2nd kill of the day for Alexis Bowers. Beacons by 4. Cassingle has it picked up. Bowers again. It's a ball handling error. The lift on Ari Linden. That's what happens when your middle blocker has to become a setter. And the Beacons go back ahead by 5.
And this is the danger zone for Plymouth State. Rachel Maslak and other players very strong from the service line.
Opened up with the Beacons service today. 3 first set kills from Maslak. She's up to 200 on the season. Linden sliding into the block off Kasengol. Shepievska just out. Struck it well, a hair too long, 21-17.
I don't mind that swing, though, from Amelia. This is a confidence and a power we didn't necessarily see from her early on in the season. Coming off a season where she missed pretty much all of the year at South Dakota State, she has played her best volleyball over the past 2 to 3 weeks.
Outside, Shepievska. So much power, it comes back to the Beacons' end. She into the net. Boy, that was unfortunate for the Beacons. Shepievska crushed it so that when it was dug out by Grace Sporer, it ricocheted all the way back to the Beacon end and forced them into the scramble. Here's Shannon Howland, ace server. Maslak for Shepievska. Peruch is there. Claire Sporer picked up by Kianko. Maslak over on 2. Maslak, back set. Shepievska didn't waste that one. 22-18.
That was a great point of volleyball. Really nice decision making across the board. Maslak had to go over on 2 there. Set would have been too tight. Seen some really nice defensive play from Plymouth State. These two teams in a slightly different world could easily be playing in another championship game this year.
22-18. Back row Bowers. And a lift on the Beacons. Second ball handling error on Maslak. In fact, called a double contact. 22-19. Beacons hold on to a 3-point lead. Service for Ari Linden, junior from Lena, Illinois. Maslak for Shepievska off the block and ricocheting out. Third kill for Amelia Shepievska. Beacons are 2 points away from taking the opening set.
She just looks like a different player than she did when we first saw her here at the Clark Athletic Center in early September. She was tentative. Half of her swings just weren't coming with a ton of power. Everything that's coming off her hand right now is hit with velocity, and it's putting a lot of pressure on the defense.
Chris Kilmer's taken his second time out. Beacons are right back to playing tremendous defense against Plymouth State. Plymouth State just 8 kills on 32 swings, hitting 094. Beacons hitting 229, 12 kills, 4 errors on 35 swings. UMass Boston also has 2 blocks to just the 1 for Plymouth State. Beacons lead 23-19. The big run in this one was a 5-0 run with Alex Gibbs back at the service line for UMass Boston. That's provided the margin at this point with Beacons ahead 23-19.
Well, Gibbs is a senior who really hasn't had her chance to play in the postseason until her senior season. She played a lot as a junior, but then faded off, lost her spot in the rotation amongst one of the best teams in program history. She's played in about 12 to 15 straight matches and is really playing great volleyball on both ends. Her passing is why she's in the lineup, but she's hitting well and she's serving well, and that's big for the Beacons team that has just 2 seniors, Kianko and Gibbs.
And for Michaela Kianko, also the opportunity to take on a much more featured role this year after the graduation of the outstanding libero Elizabeth Glavin. Kianko played a limited role as a defensive specialist in past years, but this season she stepped into the limelight, and the Beacon defense really hasn't seemed to miss a beat.
Well, it's tough when you're playing behind the top libero in program history, but she worked hard for a couple of years, beat out a number of other freshmen who were playing behind her, and now she's taken over the role and has been as good of a possible successor to Elizabeth Glavin as you could possibly ask for.
23-20 Beacons after the service error. Doyle got the tip, so it's out of bounds, ruled off of Alexis Bowers. Set point Beacons, 24-20.
She can't believe it. The back judge there ruling that either caught the shoulder or potentially the hair. It certainly was very close.
Her mouth still agape as Shepievska hammers this service off the rafters and down. Beacons take the opening set 25-20 on the ace from Amelia Shepievska. So UMass Boston opens this semifinal match with a set 1 win. They'll look to keep it going when we come back on LittleEast.tv.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, then I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have
a family with your team that can guide you.
Back here on the Beacons Broadcast Network, UMass Boston takes the opening set 25-20. Let's take a look at some highlights from the opening set. Carson Commons scrambles for the set. Rachel Maslak drills it. Partially blocked. Commons to the outside. Maslak, boom! To the center, Sporer.
At that point, one little run of 3 or 4 points becomes so much more important.
Oh,
don't expect to see today.
Yep.
And then Jill Tyner, who will see a little time.
Big swing. Set up by Bailey to the outside. Big swing, and Bowers hammers too. Maslak, back set. Shepievska.
That either caught the shoulder or potentially the hair. It certainly was very close.
Her mouth still agape as Shepievska hammers this service off the rafters and down. Beacons take. So strong first set for UMass Boston in a matchup of last year's conference final. This the conference semifinals. Beacons lead 1-0. Let's take a look around Beaconville. UMass Boston has a number of teams in the midst of the Little East Conference tournament. Women's soccer playing right now. The Beacons women's soccer team playing in a Little East semifinal. And the current score 1-0, top seeded Eastern Connecticut State here in the second half. Also in that overlap where you've got the hockey teams rolling. Big weekend for both hockey teams with the Norwich weekend. Women at home and the men on the road.
Yeah, 2 huge tests for those two sides. The men's hockey team 2-0, looking for a 3-0 start and a chance to really prove that that team is potentially back to their role from 2 years ago when they were the front runners in the conference. Women's hockey coming off a difficult loss in their home opener to St. A's, trying to get their first goal and their first win of the year. Women's soccer, still 22 minutes left in that game. The Beacons, though, still without a shot against the top-seeded Eastern Connecticut State Warriors.
Now, right here, the Clark Athletic Center, UMass Boston, the top seed in the Little East Conference, leads 1-0 after a 25-20 first set win. Beacons and fourth-seeded Plymouth State in the conference semi. The other semifinal right now going on up in Keene, New Hampshire. Third-seeded Eastern Connecticut State, second-seeded Keene State, who lost just once in conference play this year to the Beacons. Both teams ended 6-1 in the regular season, with the Beacons holding the head-to-head tiebreaker.
Bill, we talked about it off air. I think the biggest thing from this first set, especially if you're a Plymouth State fan, is Plymouth had their chance to steal a set. The Beacons had 6 service errors. We talked about it, those 8 early errors, and they were trailing 13-12. UMass Boston finishes the set on a 13-7 run. Could be difficult for Plymouth State, who's now lost 8 consecutive sets going back to last year's regular season matchup when the Beacons had to come back to earn a 3-2 win at Plymouth. And now the Beacons have won 2 in a row and looking to make it 7 straight.
Overall in that first set, Beacons made 4 attack errors, 6 service errors, 2 ball handling errors, and a block error. So that's 13 errors, leading to 13 of the 20 points Plymouth State scored in the first set. But the Panthers do score the opening point of the second set off the service from Grace Sporer.
Interesting that it's Grace Sporer instead of Shannon Howland opening this set.
Howland had 2 service errors in that first set. To the outside, Bowers off the block, and it's out to Plymouth State. 2-0 lead for the Panthers. Important to get this strong start in set 2.
Yeah, the good thing if you're Plymouth State is you not only have one head coach on the sideline, you have 2. Brett Sayer, the team's lead assistant, was the head coach at Colby Sawyer for the past 6 or 7 years before coming over to Plymouth State. So they have a lot of experience on that bench. It's just trying to figure out how to beat a team that's slightly bigger than you and possibly more talented as well.
Eileen Shee holsters the cannon after her first kill this set and her 4th this match. Good serve from Maslak. There's Claire Sporer off the net, picked up by Gibbs. To the outside, Shepievska wide. Beacons a little off early in this set. 3-1 lead for Plymouth State. And in comes Shannon Howland, the service specialist, just 1 step into the rotation. No aces for Howland in that first set. 57 aces this season. That's a good serve there, backing Gibbs up. Shepievska goes finesse. Tight set. Kiyanko picks it up. Shapievska. Oh, great dig by Sporer. Shapievska again, too strong. Plymouth State defense holds on that point, and it's 4-1 Panthers.
Well, I don't think the game plan coming out to start the second set was to feed Shapievska, but she's seen a lot of work, and a couple of nice digs kept that ball alive for Plymouth as Shapievska continues to swing well.
Beacons have been fortunate today that, at least so far, Shannon Howland's been off the mark with her serves. No aces, and that's her third service error. Ball back to the Beacons and Eileen Shee.
Well, Bill, give a little credit to the serve receive as well, though. Kianko is trying to take as many of those serves from Howland as possible, and she has been very sure-handed.
Shee into the net, so answer the service error with a service error. Back to a 5-2 lead for Plymouth State. This is Ari Linden. Maslak outside. Gibbs picks out his spot on the back line. 97th kill this year for Alex Gibbs.
Well, in a lot of matches, that's a difficult spot for Gibbs because she's not all that tall. Gibbs stands, I believe, at 5'6", 5'7", but against a Plymouth State team that's small themselves, Gibbs was able to power that one through the block.
In the center, good pickup, Shee, and it goes off the chair. 6'3", Plymouth State. Are you just, you're knocking yourself on the team website on Alex Gibbs? She's listed at 5'9". Give her a couple more inches, come on.
And maybe she is, but she's certainly not as long as some of the other, or as tall as some of the other Beacons top outside.
Oh, overpass and the Beacons get lucky. Francie Schaefer off the overpass into the net. Point to UMass Boston.
Yeah, that's a difficult one. So your eyes just get huge like saucers. You're ready to kill it, and you just mistime it by a little bit.
6-4 lead for Plymouth State. Service from Shapievska is a really good one. Kianko scrambles to the corner. Maslak up top. Gibbs off the block and down. It's another kill for Alex Gibbs. Beacons within one.
This is a fascinating battle between Kianko and Peruch. Both players are making some phenomenal defensive plays.
7 digs for each libero, the top 2 in terms of digs in the conference this year.
It's just too bad that at the end of the night, one of these players' careers is likely over.
Peruch into a tough spot, and that's an ace. Shapievska continues to make her impact on this match, 6-all.
Oh, that's back-to-back, really nice serves from Shapievska.
Here she is again. Another line drive serve. Could pick up Peruch to the outside. Schaefer off the block. Maslak on the joust, got it over. And now it's blocked. Swing coming for the Beacons. Maslak puts it away. UMass Boston on top for the first time this set.
Well, that was a little tricky for Plymouth State. Maslak going over on 2, but not the traditional 2 for a setter, going with the full swing. And again, I talk about versatility. Maslak being a hitter and a setter causes teams problems.
Tyner has to pass it over, a free ball. Gibbs. That's it. No, now ruled out. Line judge started to point in and then thought better of it, lifted the flag, 7-all. I think that was the right call just from our angle, but it was delayed.
Anytime you have the bench standing right next to you asking for a call, I think it plays in your mind one way or another. I do agree it was probably the right call, but the delay made it look a little bit more egregious.
To the outside, Bowers. She back-footed, catches the tape. Tough swing, put in an awkward spot. Back to Plymouth State up 8-7.
I'm just amazed she was even able to get to that ball.
Done that a couple times today.
Yeah, and that's bailing out the setters, and the Beacon setters have done a nice job tonight, but sometimes you need your hitters to help you.
Comets puts it up on the slide. Doyle, well covered by Claire Sporer. Tyner taps it over, and a joust is won. So using the lance there this time, it's Gibbs who puts it down, and the Beacons have it knotted up at 8.
Yeah, Gibbs got a little bit lucky there. She did a great job on the joust, but then the Plymouth State player on the opposite side, Jill Tyner, just turned her back to the ball, didn't recognize it was coming down right at her ankles.
Claire Sporer over the net from the back. Doyle in the middle, blocked. And that's down on the Beacon side. Maslak couldn't get to it off the block. Good work by Schaefer in the middle, combining with Jill Tyner.
despite losing that point, though, the Beacons, who started so slow in this set, down 3-4 points, back within 1.
Yeah, 9-8 lead for Plymouth State. Maslak's blocked again. In the middle, it's powered through. Ari Linden beats the block. Plymouth State by 2.
That was a great set from Megan Bailey, moving the ball quickly enough to get it there before the block could set up. And now Michaela Kianko is going to make sure that her shoes are tied.
It's always important.
Well, especially when you're running and covering as much ground as Kianko is being asked to.
We preach footwear safety here on the Beacons Broadcast Network.
Amongst other things.
Peruch to serve. That's another good one. Back she up, and it's hammered down. Alexis Bowers the kill, all set up by the service from Brenna Peruch.
The Beacons are going to use that first time out.
Had been down 4, got it all the way back to actually a 1-point lead, but Plymouth State has recovered and scored 4 of the last 5 points to go up 3.
Yeah, just a chance to settle. We talked about it. This is a young Beacons team. They have just the 2 seniors, and even though they have some sophomores and juniors who are in the lineup, a lot of those players were playing behind other players a year ago. Rachel Maslak, the Beacons' top setter, she was the Beacons' third setter a year ago. Didn't see any time as a setter in the postseason. It was all hitting. Alex Gibbs, even a senior, hasn't seen a ton of time. Michaela Kianko. So you are going to go see maybe a little bit more of the roller coaster ride with this team because of their lack of experience.
Well, if you want to try to zero in on the difference here in this second set, it's been the defense from Plymouth State. Beacons hit 250 in the first set. They had 13 kills and 4 errors on 36 swings. In this set, just 4 kills and 5 errors on 16 swings. So hitting in the negatives in this second set, and part of that has been an improved block. We've seen the Plymouth State block get in on a couple of plays, and a few just off the mark for the Beacons as well.
I think another part is the Beacons haven't been spreading the wealth as much offensively. In that first set, the Beacons had 4 different players with 3 kills. Here in the second set, I feel like you've been calling the name of Eileen Shee and Amelia Chepievska maybe a little bit more than we saw in the first set. Need to see a few more sets for Doyle, and with comments out there, expect to see Rachel Maslak get a few more looks as well.
Right now for the Beacons, Maslak and Shee have 4 kills. Chepievska and Doyle with 3. Alex Gibbs with 2. On the Plymouth State side, 4 kills apiece for Francie Schaefer and Alexis Bowers. Peruch's service backs up Kianko. Here's Shee, middle line swing, picked up. Tyner over, hits it. Beacons capitalize off the error. They're back within 2. Just kind of took off on Tyner's right hand. She's one of the local products on this Plymouth State team, junior from Salem, New Hampshire. A lot of this roster, though, from other parts of the country, including the Sporers all the way from Medford, Oregon.
Big game if they're soccer fans tonight with the MLS Cascadia Cup going on.
Portland Timbers, Seattle Sounders action?
Well, tonight it's Vancouver versus
okay.
Seattle, but the Timbers plays on Sunday, so a lot of action.
That's out off Gibbs. No, you're our resident Seattle Sounders fan here.
Oh, even if they're rooting against both of those teams, it's still a big game.
12-9 lead for UMass Boston, or rather for Plymouth State over UMass Boston in this second set. Beacons won the first set 25-20, so Plymouth State trying to bring us to level ground in this semifinal matchup, a rematch of last year's Little East Championship. It's a free ball. Set up by Bailey. On the outside, Bowers has it dug out by Kianko. She answers and kills it. How about Michaela Kianko keeping that point alive for the Beacons?
Beacons running all over the place. Alex Gibbs just a little bit off with their form there on the service reception. It nearly killed the Beacons. Instead, really nice job from Kianko to run that ball down, and the Beacons back within 2.
The Beacons have made it through the rotation on this set, but they're out of rotation on the service from Maslak. It gives a free point to Plymouth State.
Yeah, you don't see that very often with UMass Boston. I don't see that very often in volleyball to begin with, quite honestly. And right now the Beacons will have a brief conversation, figure it out, make sure they're aligned. This is a pretty veteran group, no freshmen on the floor.
Great service, and it leads to miscommunication. That was a tweener between Gibbs and Kianko, and it'll go down as the first ace tonight for Shannon Howland as she split them.
Beacons are shooting themselves in the foot right now. Back-to-back mental mistakes.
14-10 Plymouth State. Maslak to the outside. Chepievska That's down through the scorer's table. Sharp angle for Shepievska there, and the Beacons are within 3.
Good athleticism from Sports Information Director David Wahlberg. Just inching his way away from the ball to make sure if Plymouth State could get there that the ball would be available.
Athleticism, it's a nice way to put that.
Yeah, you know, we've got a very athletic scorers table down there. Steve Witkowski, the PA announcer. Olivia Murphy, former women's basketball great.
From the back, free ball. Maslak up, Shepievska into the net. Set was a bit off the mark, didn't get a running start into it. 15-11, the lead for Plymouth State.
Yeah, Maslak's got to put more behind that pass. Shepievska was running the middle, and Maslak set it well short, almost as if there was supposed to be a second player there.
Gibbs, good return. Comes back to her, plays it off the block. Great work by Alex Gibbs, returns the serve, takes the swing, and puts the Beacons back within 3.
Bill, despite how poorly the Beacons are playing across the board in this second set, they're down just 3. This is dangerous. Plymouth State let the Beacons stick in this first set and eventually pull away.
Well, Plymouth State's not hitting all that well either, just hitting 103 on the day, and Beacons are within 2 off another strong service from Michaela Kianko, who entered today with 38 aces on the season, just behind Eileen Shee for the Beacon lead.
It's about this point of the first set where the Beacons were able to turn it around. They trailed 13-12 and went on that 13-7 run.
Kianko's serve leads to an overpass, and Doyle makes it a 1-point set. It was Gibbs with the service run in the first set. Michaela Kianko trying to lead the Beacons in set 2. And that's the 2 seniors on this team looking to extend their careers.
Michael Holohan will certainly be happy about that.
Kianko's float serve into the net. Well, that's twice she's gone to that float serve instead of the hard serve, and both times send it up just short.
Well, that's called by Michael Holohan. He's got the finger signals, each with a different spot and a different player on the floor you're targeting. And those short serves, if you can get them over, most of the time take the offense on the opposing side out of what they're trying to do.
Claire Spore's swing picked up by Kianko. Gibbs off the block. Tight set. Chance for the Beacons here. Kianko for Shepievska, and that's too strong. So 2 in a row for Plymouth State. It's back to a 3-point Panther lead.
That's a little bit on the pass from Kianko, just too much behind it. Left Shepievska high in the air. If that ball's moved a little bit faster, the defense might not be set up as well. And the one aspect of Kianko's game that doesn't line up with Glaven's ability is her passing. It's just not quite at the same position. It shows statistically. I think Michaela would probably say the same thing. Still, a 3-point deficit. It feels like the Beacons should be down by more. These next couple points are going to be huge. Plymouth can end this set tied 1-1. They're going to feel okay. If they're down 2-0, I don't know if they're mentally and emotionally be able to get back into this match, considering how either of these first 2 sets could have gone their way.
Beacons are now out of timeouts, taking both timeouts early in this set, so down 17-14. Need to go on a late run. They went on a 5-0 run last set. That's how they ended up winning 25-20. Beacons here down 17-14 against Plymouth State. And hey, if they have to grind this game out, you know, it'd be kind of fitting for the season the Beacons have had. It has not been an easy season. They've had to grind some games and take some lumps along the way, but eventually led to a 9th consecutive regular season Little East Conference championship. Beacons trying to make it to the conference final for the 9th time in 10 seasons. They lead 1-0, but have work to do in this second set, down 17-14. Service coming from Megan Bailey. Into the middle, Shepievska overpowers the block.
That play is all set up because the defense has to line up looking for Doyle, who's running in front of Shepievska. And then Shepievska, a little bit of a wrinkle in the offense, easily able to knock it off the block and down.
5th kill for Amelia Shepievska, but she gives the side out back to Plymouth State with a service error. That's the Beacons' 9th service error today and 5th this set.
Beacons subbing Shepievska out right now.
Claire Spore's serve picked up by Gibbs. Comments to the back for Shee. That's a good swing from Shee, scoring from the back row. 8 up, Megan Bailey.
Yeah, Megan Bailey just wasn't expecting the power coming out the hands of Shee. And now Sydney Birch, one of the leaders on this team, despite being just a sophomore. This is a big spot. Her first postseason appearance probably. I don't think she saw any time in last year's LEC tournament.
Sophomore from Boca Raton. Puts the serve in. Set to the outside, blocks there. Maslak across for She. Oh, what a dig by Peruch. From the back, Sporer. Kaminsk. She gets it again. It's blocked. And the point goes to Plymouth State. Boy, maybe the dig of the day for Brenna Peruch.
She's got 4 or 5 of them where she's just laying out and making the play. That was huge. And then she never got the ball over the net, so the Beacons called for 4 touches.
Tough service from Peruch, and the blocks there. Ari Linden with the solo block.
Well, this Plymouth State team is fighting right now, playing some of their best volleyball coming out of the timeout.
Up 20-16, Beacons in some trouble. Kaminsk over on 2. Smart time. She sneaks it in, and the Beacons are back within 3.
Bill, that's not in the scout. I can tell you right now, whereas the setter for Keene State has done that all season long, Carson Kaminsk, I think that's just her 3rd or 4th kill of the season. It's her 3rd kill on the year.
Just snuck a peek and dropped it in. Service from Christina Elliott's a good one. Kaminsk for Maslak. Easy for Peruch. Sporer from the back. Beacons pick it up. Kaminsk was into the net. 21-17.
Come down to the Beacons passing here in this set. It just hasn't been crisp enough. We've seen a lot of tight plays where the Beacons setters have been too close to the net to really get the looks they're looking for. That first set, the Beacons hit 333 because of how well they were getting that first pass. Right now, hitting 164 for the match.
On the back, Maslak down the line. UMass Boston within 3, 21-18. But if they're going to win this set, need to string a couple together on serve.
Yeah, you're not looking for aces here. You're just looking to put the pressure on, get a free ball back across, and set up your hitters.
So you'll take an ace if you can get it. Maslak puts this one in. Sporer from the back. Kiyanko the dig. Maslak. This will be a free ball. Over on 2. She's ready for it. Shapievska blocked again. Good scramble by Birch. She through the block and down. 2 big digs for Sydney Birch on that point. It's 21-19.
Sydney Birch had to serve as the setter throughout that entire point, despite being a DS who doesn't pass all that much. And that was huge. Great job by the sophomore who didn't even see time in that first set.
Prompts the first Plymouth State timeout. Now the pressure shifts to the Panthers, who've had the lead basically the entirety of this second set. You set it up a few minutes ago. If the Beacons fall in this set, all right, they're back to level footing at 1-1. If Plymouth State ends up dropping this set, you know, you kind of take the wind out of the sails, down 2 sets to love in a super big hole.
And the huge thing right now is, for Plymouth State, you need to just minimize the damage. You've got to pick up a point or 2 here, not allow UMass Boston to tie this set. Because if the Beacons get the tie, they don't have a huge crowd here, but there's a decent amount of people standing to our left. At least I think we can see that through the construction zone. And this gym is only going to get louder if UMass Boston can tie this up, go up 2-0. So this is a huge spot right now for your Plymouth State. You've got 4 seniors. You lost this team a year ago in the championship match. You've lost 7 in a row, or 6 in a row overall coming into this match. They need this set as badly as they've needed a set all season long.
Plymouth State went 19-10 to this point. Beacons 13-15, but of course play a very tough non-conference schedule. 6-1 in the conference. Out of the conference, Beacons were just 7-14. Service coming for Rachel Maslak, and it's the type of player you could get on a service run with. Maslak has 27 aces this season. Keeps this one in play. Down to the middle. Kassengall got a piece, but not enough. And it's down for Plymouth State. Ari Linden earns the kill, 22-19.
And who else? It's Shannon Hallen right now. That's the player Plymouth State wants at the service line. She's been good all year long.
57 aces coming in. Line drive serve. She returns it. Maslak keeps it alive, and she puts it down. Wow. Phenomenal work from both Eileen Shee and Rachel Maslak.
How did Maslak set that ball for Shee? That was phenomenal from Maslak, who just threw her arm up and popped it up as high as she could, and that's a huge point.
That was probably the best serve we'd seen all day from Howland as well. It was a rocket. Shee, tough serve. Sporer. Kianko picks it up. Beacon's looking to get within one. There's Peruch for the dig. Passed outside, and it's a ball handling error.
No, I think we saw it looks like Claire Sporer lost her footing.
Yep.
And again, safety first.
Yep. So that's why the whistle came after the pass, but Sporer's shoe came off, her right shoe.
Michael Houlihan's not happy about it. The Beacons had the ball on their side.
Remember, we told you a few minutes ago, got a double knot for safety here.
Yeah, we're all about safety. We've already seen the antenna come down at one point, and now a shoe loose. That's a first for me, at least.
So we'll redo the point at 22-20, and it works out just fine for the Beacons. Good serve from Shee. This will be a free ball. It's a good free ball, though. And the point is kept alive, just barely. What a scramble here. Shapievska picked up. To the outside, Claire Sporer. Good dig, Shee. Here's Gibbs swinging into the net. Boy, you got to go back to the free ball that was coming for the Beacons. Grace Sporer hit one of the toughest free balls you'll ever see. Picked out the back corner in an overhead swing from all the way back at her own line.
And pushed Kianko much further back than she was anticipating, forcing a bad pass. Maslak somehow able to keep the ball alive.
Shapievska off the block. Beacons down 23-20, running out of real estate. Shee, big swing. It's well dug by Linden. Maslak back for Shapievska, and the block gets a piece. Claire Sporer. Over on two. Maslak plops it in. That's down. Line judge came in immediately and set it to hit the turf in front of the pancake dig from Linden. 23-21, and here's one of the Beacons' top servers, Michaela Kianko, when the Beacons need a run. Overpass, blocked again. Wow, it's the second time on an overpass that somehow on the joust it's gone back to Plymouth State. Francie Schaefer sets up a set point for the Panthers.
Phil, it's so cliche to say that everything's a little bit more intense during the playoffs, but just looking at the coaches, all of them so stressed out, hunched over, their faces wide. It's really fun to watch just how intense the coaches are at this point.
In the middle, down it goes. Francie Schaefer finishes off the second set for Plymouth State. So we played two sets and we're all even with only 1 point in between. Beacons took the first set 25-20. Plymouth State takes set two 25-21. To the third set we go, all square from the Clark Athletic Center.
I'm the first undergraduate alumnus to lead this university. I'm very proud of that. I was literally able to transform my life because of the University of Massachusetts, and I want that for every single student that walks through the door.
I did receive a non-athletic scholarship upon entering school.
I got the presidential scholarship, which was huge for me.
I think there's more opportunities for academic scholarships in Division III.
I did receive academic scholarships. Just being involved on campus, being a leader, all those things combined kind of get me recognized. It's a great experience for me.
Plymouth State answers back with a big second set win, taking the set 25-21. We're even a set apiece. Here are the highlights from the second set.
You have two. Brett Sayer, the team's lead assistant, was the head coach at Colby Sawyer for the past.
Kianko scrambles to the corner. Maslak up top. Gibbs off the block and down. Got up by Bailey. On the outside, Bowers has it dug out by Kianko. She answers. Into the middle, Shapievska over point for the Panthers.
Phil, it's so cliche to say that everything's a little bit more intense during the playoffs, but just looking at the coaches, all of them so stressed out, hunched over, their faces wide. It's really fun to watch just how intense the coaches are at this point.
In the middle, down it goes. Francie Schaefer finishes off the second set. We move toward the third set here on the Beacons Broadcast Network. Let's take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard in the Little East Conference. So the other semifinal is going to seed right now, Keene State, with a 2-0 lead over Eastern Connecticut State. And you'd assume the Owls are big fans right now of Plymouth State because it would mean a home championship for Keene State if Plymouth State wins tonight. Beacons would host with a UMass Boston win. UMass Boston and Plymouth State knotted up a set apiece after a really impressive second set bounce back for the Panthers, who were never out of a point. The way they play defense, they extend points, frustrate you, and can force you into some errors, which the Beacons have made plenty of today. UMass Boston has racked up the errors, especially in that second set when the Beacons hit just 087 with 11 errors.
Yeah, Plymouth State goes from hitting 094 up to 129, and they held the Beacons about 167 points lower in that second set. Already we've seen a combined 71 digs between these two sides. I mean, you're looking at two very strong defensive teams. Both liberos are having strong matches. Bill, I talked about the block needing to control the middle. That's what the Beacons haven't done thus far. They gave up 3 blocks on the Plymouth side and had just one of their own in the second set.
Yep. And hey, that quick math with no calculator, pretty solid there. Beacons 163 points lower offensively. So you're pretty close there with no calculator.
I said about. I didn't say quite on the dot.
Giving you credit. Pretty solid work. As we head to the third set, Beacons led offensively with 8 kills for Eileen Shee, 6 for Rachel Maslak. On the flip side, it's been pretty balanced for Plymouth State. 5 kills for Francie Schaefer to lead the way, and then 4 for Alexis Bowers. But only 15 total kills for Plymouth State. 28 so far for UMass Boston, which tells you the Beacons are giving points away with errors. There's the 16th kill for Plymouth State, and it's Ari Linden who picks up her 4th kill of the day.
The Beacons just not anticipating that one quickly enough, and wonder what. I don't think the Beacons are going to make any rotational changes. I just think they're going to try to tighten things up here in set 3.
Good serve from Shannon Howland, leads to a free ball. Bowers over on 2. That's Bailey, and it's down. The setter, Megan Bailey, with the backhanded flip. 2-0 Plymouth State.
It's all about talk right now on the UMass Boston side. She tried to pop that up. Maslak was in a much better position there to handle it with 2 hands, and the Beacons giving up another early point.
Momentum squarely with the Panthers at the moment. Shee from the back just crushed it. Eileen Shee's 9th kill.
That's the problem. Plymouth State has the momentum, but the Beacons have the big guns. If they can just get them some good looks early on in this set, they'll have a great chance to take set 3, which, well, every set that we go the further on will be the most important one to that point. But set 3, in terms of momentum stance, has a ton on the line.
Kiyanko, a diving dig to extend the point, but Gibbs mishit it. Another Beacon error, 3-1 Plymouth State. First set, 25-20 UMass Boston. Second set, 25-21 Plymouth State. So we're at 1 set apiece. 3-1 lead for the Panthers. Gibbs gets another chance and overcooks it. Back-to-back errors for Alex Gibbs, and you can see the frustration starting to boil for the Beacons. Down 4-1. Ari Linden serve. Dropped in well. Maslak up for Shepievska. Didn't get much on it. On the backslide. It's easy for Maslak. Here's Shee. Into the net. 3 straight Beacon errors. It is 5-1 Plymouth State.
Bill, we've seen this in every set today. The Beacons have gotten off to consistently slow starts, and this is the earliest that Michael Houlihan's used the timeout, but he just doesn't want to let Plymouth State really build a huge advantage. It's going to be difficult to come back from. That's the good thing for UMass Boston. Even losing that second set, they were never out of it. Right now, UMass Boston just needs to throw that second set away and start focusing and bearing down.
Tough thing here for the Beacons is the pressure builds the deeper you get into this match, especially as the favorite, as the defending champion, as the dominant power over the last decade in this conference. And you start to look up here in the third set, and all of a sudden you realize, hey, it's a big moment right now. So we'll see how the Beacons can respond after 5 of the first 6 points in this set have gone the way of Plymouth State.
Well, and I'm sure the current players wouldn't admit to thinking about it, but right now, if you're in a spot like this is when the Julia Murphys of the world, the Colleen Cohens, the Elizabeth Glavins would be not only the calming voices, but the players that would make a big play to get you back in it. Those players have graduated, and now it needs to be the current group out there that has to pick up their play.
Now it's the Eileen Shees, the Rachel Maslaks, the Amelia Shepievskas who will be asked to step up in this situation with the Beacons trailing 5-1. 3 consecutive points for Plymouth State, and here's Ari Linden to serve again. Panthers haven't won a Little East final since 2004, though they played in the Little East final last season, losing to the Beacons. Outside, Shepievska, again, didn't really catch it cleanly. Sporer did, and it's dug out by She. She from the back, and it's a ball handling error. That's 4 consecutive errors on the Beacons, just handing points to Plymouth State.
It's interesting. Plymouth State, the Beacons are going to change it right now. Rachel Maslak is going to be given a little bit of a break. She's playing all the way around. They're going to bring out Christina Elliott, who was the starting setter to begin the year, so another shorthanded junior. But Plymouth State's going deeper into their bench. Nikki Flanagan out there here in set 3. Hadn't played in the team's last 8 matches, but the freshman utility player sees time to start the set.
Kassengall, big shot. Ariana Kassengall slams it down. First kill today in the 75th this season for the sophomore.
Well, this is a big spot if you're Christina Elliott. You've lost your spot as one of the team's top 2 setters. You're the 3rd setter right now. She has a chance to show that not only is she mentally strong, but that she deserves a spot going forward.
That's a block in the center. Scrambling. Free ball coming for the Beacons. Elliott to the outside. Gibbs, too strong, untouched on the point to Plymouth State. It's the 5th attack error of the set on UMass Boston.
But that's an attack error that you can live with. Just missing the line. Great swing, good pass. Beacons have been missing by a lot more, and that's troubling.
And that came after the block up front from Sarah Doyle that was then picked up by Plymouth State. Shepievska does not miss. Hammered down the line in front of Peruch. Beacons back within 4. Rachel Maslak quickly coming right back in. So that was a very quick breather for Maslak, who will replace Elliott.
But give Christina Elliott a lot of credit. Couple of really good passes in a row. We'll see her more coming into serve.
In tight, Bailey called into the net. Tried to pick it out and got a little too tight to the twine. 2 in a row for UMass Boston, back within 3.
And we'll see if Maslak's calmed down a little bit. She has struggled a little bit today setting, but she's a player the Beacons need out on the floor.
To the backside, Claire Sporer's blocked. Maslak swings. Peruch picks it up. In the center, there's Kiyanko on the dig. Across for Gibbs. She's got it. Maslak to Gibbs. Beacons starting to crawl back into this one.
I like that idea by Gibbs. She's been going down the line a lot. That time had 2 players in front of her. Instead, went towards the middle and just beat the defense.
4th kill for Alex Gibbs. And that serve is strong for Shepievska. It's the 10th service error for the Beacons today.
Yeah,
4 in the first set, 5 in the second, the first here in the third.
The Beacons can get through today's match, which certainly it's going to be a long road. That's something they'll definitely work on tomorrow during practice.
She with finesse. Peruch almost kept it alive. Well, she's going to have some floor burns by the end of this one. She's down on the deck almost every single point.
It's worth it, Bill. Potentially last collegiate match. You got to give it all up. Yep. And she is having one of the best matches for anyone out on the floor on either side.
Beacons within 2. Gibbs. On the backslide, Schaefer puts it away. Francie Schaefer's played well today in the middle. That's her 6th kill.
We haven't seen as much maybe as we expected from Claire Sporer in terms of offensive numbers. Other players have to pick it up, and Linden and Schaefer have done nice jobs.
She steps into it and overhits it. 10-6. Plymouth State scored 2 in a row to go back up 4. That's been the difference from the first set to the last 2. And the Beacons got close in the first set. They kept coming and overtook Plymouth State. Second set, Panthers held up against a couple of runs. And now all of a sudden, off the ball handling error on Kamensk, they're up 5, 11-6.
Yeah, that's the 4th, maybe 5th ball handling error today from UMass Boston's sure-handed setters.
Officially the 4th. Comments to the middle. Doyle wastes it not. Just hammered it. Sarah Doyle hasn't gotten a lot of opportunities today. That is her 6th kill. She's only had 12 swings.
Yeah, I'd go to Doyle more often. She just has such a size advantage in the middle. And by getting her going, then maybe you open up a little bit more for the outside hitters.
Stays on to serve. Bowers. Out wide, she powers it through the block. Just enough to have it top spin down off Linden. Beacons within 3 after 2 straight.
So UMass Boston's picked up 2 in a row. Now you need to either win this next point or then win 2 of the next 3. Get yourself closer rather than going 2 points one way and back 2 the other way.
Linden, too strong, just past the line. That was close. The error from Linden, only the 9th overall attack error for Plymouth State against 20 for the Beacons.
Well, they don't hit the ball as hard, so they're less likely to go long, but they're also very good with their finesse shots.
Tyner plays it off the block for a Plymouth State point. You almost look at Plymouth State like a Rafael Nadal. They're not the most powerful player, but they're not going to let anything by. They keep it in play consistently until they force you to make some type of mistake.
They don't hit as many shots through the legs, though.
No. That'd be something. The way Peruch has played today, I wouldn't put it past her.
I'm sure it's possible.
She in tight, angles it off the block and down. Beacon starting to really go to Eileen Shee. That's her 11th kill to lead all hitters. And just like that, UMass Boston's back within 2, once down 5. Scored 4 of the last 5 points with service coming for Elliott. 33 aces this year for Christina Elliott, junior from Camas, Washington. Block is there. Kassengol combines with Shee. And all of a sudden, it's a 1-point set, 12-11.
Ariana's a player who barely saw time as a freshman, but she's really made an impact this season as the second middle. Doesn't get a ton of swings, but you can do, even if you don't get the offense going, the defense is just as important for UMass Boston with so many good hitters on the team.
Ridiculous return from Peruch. Shepievska picks out the corner with finesse. Beacons back level, 12 all, scoring 6 of the last 7.
And this is what you wanted, a nice little run for UMass Boston. Now you're even, the pressure swings. It's all on Plymouth State at this point.
6 of the last 7 for UMass Boston. Elliott goes short. In the middle, Linden picked up by a sliding Kiyanko. She off the top netting and down. Beacons lead.
And I'm looking right now at Chris Kilmer. He's thinking about going with the timeout.
He'll take it. Beacons have scored 7 of the last 8 points. And in this swing third set, have a 13-12 lead at the midway point.
Yeah, even if just a 1-point deficit feels huge after they had several leads of 5 points or more. This is a huge spot in this match for Plymouth State. They worked so hard to take the second set, jumped out to a big lead in the third set. But right now, the Beacons have all the momentum, and if nothing else, he's just hoping for another potential service error coming out of this timeout.
It goes back to what you were saying at the very beginning of this set. Plymouth State doesn't make any mistakes. They play great defense. They're fundamentally sound. It's been a great coaching job by Chris Kilmer, but the Beacons have the big guns. So when UMass Boston hasn't been hurting itself with errors, Beacons have been the dominant team. Look back to that late first set run. They cleaned up the errors, and they went on a 13-7 run to close out the set. When these teams played in the regular season, Beacons were pretty clean, won the last 2 sets 25-15, and all of a sudden here in this last stretch, 7 of the last 8 points because they've kept it in play.
Well, and you look at it, the biggest gun, Eileen, she has seen a lot more action here in the third set. Eileen came in with 8 kills on 18 swings through the first 2 sets. She's now up to 12 kills overall, and we're only halfway through, presumably, of this third set.
13-12 Beacons. 7 of the last 8, 4 in a row for UMass Boston. Service for Christina Elliott. She's had a really important set, coming in as the setter and now here at the service line. Tight set, jam down. I'll give Ariana Kassengall credit for the kill as she got the slight deflection at the net.
Yeah, if there was a deflection, it was very slight. There was just a bit of miscommunication, a rare one on the Plymouth State side, as the middle was running around the setter rather than towards the ball.
Elliott, tough service. Sporer flat-footed, and it's in. Beacons played it as out. It drops in on the back line and ends the 5-point Beacon run.
Just a little bit of miscommunication between Gibbs and Kiyanko. We've seen it a couple times tonight. And now Shannon Howland checks in. This is what Plymouth State wants, a chance for their big server to get them the lead right back.
She has just 1 ace today, averages close to 3 a match. Wow, Eileen Shee with the 100-mile-an-hour fastball there. That was a blur.
She is having by far her best offensive season. And she's had to this year with a lot of top hitters not coming back from last year's team.
Her 13th kill today. Beacons by 2. Sporer, she picks it up. Can't keep it in play. Give the kill to Claire Sporer, who's been somewhat limited. That's just her 5th today.
But Sporer, who hit in the negatives in that first match, she's at 120, which is certainly an improvement.
From the back, she. Sporer off the block. Plymouth going without the libero Peruch on this point. Dump on 2 is easily read by Elliott. Miscommunication. Elliott got tangled with she. Just hasn't been consistent play from the Beacons today.
No, a little bit of timidness at points, not communicating well enough. This is going to be one of those matches where whichever one of these teams survives, there's going to be a lot of talking points tomorrow before practice about the things they need to improve upon if they're going to win on Saturday.
Elliott got caught in the net there after the tough pass forward, getting extended run as the setter again. How about this? 3 in a row for Plymouth State. Off Beacon errors and miscues. Plymouth State leads again.
Well, that's been a story in today's match, especially this set.
She in a tough spot, just flat-footed. Bailey out for Claire Sporer. There's Kiyanko. Gibbs. Sporer again. Hammers it away. 3 kills in pretty quick succession for Claire Sporer. It's a 2-point lead for Plymouth State.
And this is a difficult spot if you're Mike Houlihan. You used your first time out so early that you're down 2 now, a bit of a Plymouth State run. He's going to keep it in his back pocket, not wanting to give it up too early.
You'd wager another point here, though. Maybe it comes. Gibbs crushes it. Grace Sporer did enough to keep it alive. Beacon scrambling again. Gibbs misses wide. Mike Houlihan walking over toward the referee, and he will take his final timeout. It's a 5-0 Plymouth State run. Panthers lead by 3.
Well, this is not the way we expected this match to go, but give a lot of credit to Plymouth State. Their defense has been phenomenal. That first swing by Gibbs looked like it was a sure kill, instead popped up. Plymouth able to get it back across, and Gibbs just missing on the near side. This has been a difficult match for UMass Boston because of how well Plymouth has played defensively and how many mistakes UMass Boston has made. The errors have been killing the Beacons. They're doubling up Plymouth State in attack errors, and their hitting percentage, hitting just 168. They have a 17 kill advantage overall. It's just they're also struggling to not put the ball long.
Here's how I'll put it in perspective and just how much the errors have had an impact in this game. Plymouth State has scored a total of 63 points. Of that, you add up the errors between the attack errors, the ball handling errors, the blocking errors, the service errors, and that doesn't even count any mental errors. Beacons have 37 combined errors. So of the 63 points, 37 have come from errors, which means that Plymouth State has needed to earn just 26 of them with the 22 kills and the 2 aces to go along with 2 blocks.
Bill, you're just a little calculator over here. But in reality, that's unacceptable if you're UMass Boston, especially after how well they played this past weekend. They were playing their best volleyball. I think some of this is nerves, and a lot of this is how well Plymouth State is playing, extending points.
Well, that was what I was going to say, because it's not like the Beacons are just giving the errors away as Kassengall finds a gap for a kill. Oftentimes his errors are coming 3 or 4 swings into a point that's been extended by really solid Plymouth State defense. Michaela Kianko, one of the Beacons seniors, to serve. Backpedaling, Flanagan kept it alive. There's the block from Doyle. Flanagan puts it up for Sporer. Elliott, here's she from the back. Again, Flanagan keeps it alive. Grace Sporer cuts it back to the center. Doyle, Peroch out of the timeout, back and fresh, but the Beacon blocks there. Might not even have gotten over to the block. Doyle was there if she needed to be. Beacons rattled 2 in a row out of Mike Houlihan's timeout.
Yeah, I thought that caught the tape rather than the block. But, Bill, there were 3 separate points during that point alone where I thought the Beacons had won the point before they eventually saw the ball hit on the Plymouth State side. That's just showing you how good this Plymouth State defense is.
Double contact on the pass from Bailey. Boy, this is really swung back and forth in this third set. We're on level terms again, 18-all.
Remember, Plymouth State led by 5 early. The Beacons came back, took the lead, and now Plymouth State with 3-point lead, and the Beacons answer with 3 in a row.
That is out just long. Kianko dove for it. It was untouched and just out off the swing from Claire Sporer. Beacons are on top on a 4-0 run.
Bill, we got to see that replay. I'm 95% sure that Michaela Kianko made contact with that ball.
Well, Beacons get the break at this point, and then that's into the net. 5 in a row for UMass Boston, answering the 5-0 run from Plymouth State. And here's a timeout from Chris Kilmer. So the Beacons answer a 5-0 run with a 5-0 run. You're taking a quick look at the replay from that point a couple of points ago. And now we'll look at it as well.
The question is, as the ball gets towards the back line, does the libero touch this?
No.
No, just over her hand.
Can we roll it back again just slightly there to watch the back line, though? Because that was very close as well to see whether or not it hit the line. Let's take one more look. And, of course, we have the luxury of this slow-mo replay.
Ooh.
I think that's out, though. I think, as we look at it frame by frame in slow motion, I think the call on the court correct, but close as could be.
That's where you need the bird's eye camera when you're talking about tennis to really help you out. And that's such a difficult play because as the line judge there, your job is to get the line, but it's also, if you see the contact, you can help the down and up officials. There's a lot going on in that play. A tough break for Plymouth State. Now the question is, can they get a positive response? Neither team has a timeout left, so the players are stuck fighting it out here. They're not going to get any more words of wisdom. Can Plymouth State take another gut punch here in this third set and find a way back in it? The Beacons have fought back twice. Plymouth State's fought back once here in the set.
Yeah, resiliency from both sides in this third set. Tied up 1 set apiece after the Beacons took the first. The Panthers took the second in this Little East Conference semifinal. Winner to the final this weekend. That's in. Big swing from Nikki Flanagan, who hadn't played in the past 8 matches. She picks up a kill to end the 5-0 run.
I mean, you're talking about a freshman who had only appeared in 37 sets this year. But for one reason or another, Chris Kilmer's showing a ton of confidence in her today.
Elliott in for Doyle. She's got a kill. Sarah Doyle's 7th kill. Christina Elliott giving the Beacons very valuable time in this third set.
Also, update from Keene right now. It's 28-27 Keene State leading in the third set.
So that's match point
overall.
Match point for Keene State. Gibbs in tight. Got it over somehow. Claire Sporer underhit it. Real scramble here. Sporer off the block. Elliott up for Gibbs. Peruch keeps the point alive. Elliott in the middle. Doyle taps it over. Ricochets. Doyle's got it again. And down it goes. Sarah Doyle sticking to it. Beacons by 3, 22-19.
Well, Sarah Doyle had not 1, not 2, but 3 opportunities. Finally able to put it down. Again, she just has that size advantage And it's not just how tall she is, it's how long she is. Those long arms able to help her out in that point.
Particularly today against one of the smaller teams in the conference in Plymouth State. In tight, the block's there, and it angles out. Boy, that was tailor-made for Elliott and Doyle with that high set, but couldn't get angled up straight. Give the kill to Sporer, playing it flat off the block, 22-20.
And now the Beacons will bring their other two setters on. Maslak and Comments replace Chepievska and Elliott.
Overpass is pushed out. Goodness. Alexis Bowers could have taken a free swing on that, went for the two-handed push, and sent it out the sideline, 23-20 Beacons.
Well, that's a bad free ball to give up, and then not a bad decision by Bowers, just terrible execution.
Bowers looking to make amends. Comments for She. Plays it off the block for the kill. Set point Beacons. Eileen She's 14th kill and her 6th of this set.
Bill, remember, this is eerily similar to the first set.
Yep.
Now, the beginning of this set, Plymouth had a much bigger advantage early on, but
led 11-6 at one point in this set.
UMass Boston able to pull away late thanks to a close call late in the set that was a 50-50 one. This one I think they got right. The earlier one we didn't look at the replay. This is tough, though, because Plymouth State, you could easily make an argument, could have taken all three of these sets. They've been the slightly better team in the early going of all three sets.
Great serve from Gibbs, leads to the overpass. Comments for She, off the tip, and it's out. Beacons win the point off the deflection and take the third set. Eileen She's seventh kill of the set, and her 15th overall has the Beacons take this set and head up 2-1. Big finish for UMass Boston. Take the third set 25-20. They'll look to close it out in the fourth.
What a finish here. Plymouth State again. It's all about resiliency heading into the fourth set as they face possibly the end of their season at the end of this next set.
Cheer for the stumbles. The he shoulda had that's. And the tears that linger. For in those moments, greatness lies. There, you will find the provoked, the determined, the unified. It's in those moments that champions are born.
We'll take a look at the highlights right now from that third set and then bring you a look around Beaconville and around the rest of the LEC.
Panthers at the moment. She from the back, just Doyle that was then picked up by Plymouth State. Chepievska does not. In the center, there's Kianko on the dig. Across for Gibbs, she's got it. Maslak to Gibbs. Beacons within two, Gibbs. On the backslide, Schaefer puts it away. Ridiculous return from Peruch. Chepievska picks out the corner with finesse. He has just one ace today, averages close to 3 a match. Wow.
The Beacons came back, took the lead, and now Plymouth State with 3-point lead, and the Beacons answer with 3 in a row.
That is out.
We're showing a ton of confidence in her today.
Elliott in for Doyle. She's got a kill.
Taken all three of these sets. They've been the slightly better team in the early going of all three sets.
Great serve from Gibbs, leads to the overpass. Comments for She, off the tip, and it's out. Beacons win the point off the deflection.
Take a look right now around the rest of Beaconville. The women's soccer team sees their season come to an end. 3 goals in the second half give number 1 Eastern Connecticut State a spot in the LEC Finals. Both hockey teams back in action tomorrow. We've got one half of our LEC championship on the volleyball side. It's going to be Keene State winning 29-27 in that third set, downing Eastern Connecticut State. Only question is, will the championship be played at Keene or right here in Boston, as UMass Boston one set away potentially from getting back to the finals for a second straight year.
Beacons as the 1 seed would host with A win with a loss, that means Plymouth State would head to Keene, and you'd have a battle in the Granite State to determine the Little East Conference champs. It's been a great season for Keene State. They won their first 16 matches, 6-1 in conference play, led by a stellar hitter, Rachel Lamica, who was so impressive when we saw her here for a couple of sets before the Beacons finally figured her out. But they'll have a puncher's chance the way they've been playing this season.
Yeah, I mean, Lamica gets all the headlines, but Riley Bunker is one of the better liberos in the conference. They also have a 6-foot setter, so that Keene State team's going to cause problems one way or another on Saturday.
Oh, what a bad break for Plymouth State. Peruch's dig goes off the scoreboard and down, and this is the first time the entire day the Beacons have won the opening point of a set, winning the first point of set 4 and leading 2-1.
Well, it's also the first time that Christina Elliott has started a set. Yep. She's earned that right with how well she's playing.
Elliott's second serve. From the back, Grace Sporer. It's a good swing. Sporer cuts it down the line. A defensive specialist, but looking like her sister Claire there with the kill.
Well, I'm sure when Claire asked to work on her defense that Grace has sometimes had to hit for. And this is interesting that it's Elliott instead of Maslach to start set number 4.
Elliott played most of the third set as well, and she's in a good rhythm with Eileen Shee. That's the 16th kill for Eileen Shee, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Eileen's got an arm left for Saturday, the Beacons will be A-OK. Eileen came in with 365 kills on the year. She's already up to 381.
That is into the net. And Beacon's service error is the 11th today. Only one service error in that third set, which was a big key for the Beacons, taking set 3 to go up 2-1.
Well, the Beacons in the 2 sets they've won have hit 250 and 270. In that second set, just 087. So the Beacons passing a lot better in set 3 as well.
Gibbs drills it. Great dig on the back from Grace Sporer. Gibbs again. Off the block. Down it goes. Francie Schaefer blocks it, and that's another one of those points where you just can't put it to bed against the Panthers.
Yeah, the Beacons don't have to be aware. The ball's probably coming back their way on the tip. The block was already set up, and Ariana Cassingle couldn't quite get her hands there in time.
3-2 lead for Plymouth State in this fourth set, a must-win for the Panthers. Chepievska has it picked up by Sporer. Paley on the good redirect. Chepievska in tight, hits the net. And set took her way too close. Referees talking things over and finally give the point to Plymouth State, which seemed pretty clear from our vantage point.
Chepievska clearly went into the net. I'm not sure what Michael Houlihan is asking. The ball also may have gone long. There's a lot going on that play on what looked clearly to be a Plymouth State point despite the Beacons' argument.
4-2 Panthers. Starting another set strong. Kassengall rejected. Elliott all the way across. Chepievska plays it off the block. Bailey, good scramble. Sporer undercuts it right into the netting. Point to the Beacons. Claire Sporer really has to get up for every swing at just 5'6" to clear the nylon.
Yeah, she's the only player who really swings with a lot of power behind that right arm, but she uses the finesse a lot because she has the threat going hard.
That's too strong. Over hit by Schaefer, who's been having a really nice day. Francie Schaefer has 6 kills, but that error knots things up at 4. Little East Conference semifinal winner takes on 2-seeded Keene State. A kill off the redirect. That took some weird ricochets before it was put away by Sporer, and Plymouth State's back on top.
Well, Grace had a really difficult service reception there, but Claire bailed her out. And Plymouth State's defense, it's just been so impressive throughout this match. This match wouldn't even be close if not for not just how good they are, but how hard they work.
Beacons pick it out of the rafters to keep it alive off Shee's dig. Tyner off the block. Back for Gibbs. From the back row, Flanagan. Long rally here. Chepievska can't finish it. Longer it goes, the more it plays for Keene. Doyle blocked for a second time this point. Tyner, down it goes. Spoor undercuts it, diving dig for Elliott. Kianko just played it over. In the center, block there. Doyle ends the point. Sarah Doyle stuffs Francie Schaefer. That long rally goes the way of the Beacons.
That point must have taken at least 25, 30 seconds, and in the end, Doyle, who hadn't been involved at all offensively, just decides, I'm going to end this with my defense getting up and easily blocking the middle.
5-all, Sporer misses wide, trying to pick out the sideline with the finesse swing. Beacons seesaw on top, 6-5.
This is really dangerous if you're Plymouth State. The Beacons haven't played well early in the set, in any of the sets, and yet they lead here, already up 2-1.
Overpass, Doyle makes no mistake. Sarah Doyle's had an outstanding day. 9 kills, only 3 errors, 3 blocks as well.
She's just a mismatch for every team in the LEC.
Peruch, good dig. Sporer off the top of the block. Tough pass. Beacons keep it alive. Dump on 2. Gibbs was somewhat ready for it, but couldn't keep it alive. It's a good play by Megan Bailey, senior from Centerbury, New Hampshire. Picks up her 48th kill of the year, so she's not shy to go over the net.
No, but neither team was looking to go over on 2 in set 1 or even through the early part of set 2. It's been an adjustment both teams have made. Seen both of these groups of setters, at least 1 for Plymouth, 3 for the Beacons, all try it with more frequency in sets 3 and 4.
Here's Rachel Maslak in off the bench with a beautiful swing down the middle.
And even when she's struggling setting, she was called for 3 of those ball handling errors. She's making an impact, hitting the ball, and she's also pretty good on the block.
She has 7 kills today, just 1 error. Hitting better than 300. Beacons lead by 2. Bowers taps it over, and it skips off Kamensk and down. Passing has not been crisp for the Beacons today.
That's just another one where Kamensk should just leave that for Gibbs, who's coming in underneath. It's difficult for us up here because we have the headsets on, but I can hear a lot more chatter on the Plymouth State side calling for the ball, whether it's my dig or I want the ball on this swing, than I can hear on the UMass Boston side.
Peruch was long there. 5th service error today for Plymouth State. Limited their errors for the most part, just 5 service errors, no block errors yet. Beacon block there. Kassengall got a piece. Off the overpass. That's angled out off the Beacon block. Give Ari Linden a kill. Linden's 5th today.
Well, the Beacons really mucked that point up. It looked like the setter went over on 2, but she just lofted it up like a free ball, and somehow the Beacons didn't make Plymouth State pay.
She from the back didn't catch it clean, but it goes down. When you have in the day like Eileen She is, you get some breaks. That's her 18th kill.
Well, Plymouth State's perfectly set up to defend that, and then she just hits it off the side of her knuckle as it goes well short of the back line. And it's one of the breaks you get when you're hitting as well as you are.
It was a changeup there.
Yeah.
Beacons 10, Panthers 8. UMass Boston leads this Little East Conference semifinal 2-1. Chepievska got a piece. Now Elliott keeps it alive. Bailey the set, wide for Bowers, 2 strong, untipped. Oh, and now they will rule a tip, so give the point to Plymouth State in 10-9.
Well, the Beacons are getting their hands on a lot of balls. They're just unable to put the ball down on the Plymouth State side with the block. And some of that's credit to Plymouth State. They're doing a nice job of digging it out, extending the point.
Here's Shannon Howland, and it's her 3rd service error today. One of the biggest keys of this match has been that the Beacons haven't let Shannon Howland string points together. They've returned her service very well.
And they did the same thing during the regular season. Howland has been a non-factor against UMass Boston.
Overpass. Kassengall dunks it home. Beacons by 3.
Don't always have to swing hard on those overpasses. You just have to time it right and find a spot.
Now, you said it earlier, Beacons were a little sloppy early, yet still have the lead here at 12-10 after the service error. Clean those up. They can put it to bed here.
If UMass Boston wins this match, it's going to be an escape because they really have shot themselves in the foot so much and yet still have a chance to get out of here in 4.
Gibbs plays it off the deflection. Claire Sporer back-footed. Here's Gibbs again. Blocks there once more. And that's way wide. Just miss-hit on the back. The error gives the point to UMass Boston. Gotta say, though, that Plymouth State's block has been way more disruptive in sets 3 and 4 than it was early.
Michael Holohan said it to me during our interview preview and also off camera. This Plymouth State team is a lot better than they looked in that first match. And I think we're seeing more of the defensive intensity that he had seen on film all year and that Plymouth State fans are used to seeing.
Uncharacteristic mistake there from the Panthers. Beacons by 4. It's danger time for Plymouth State, and it's big senior class. Now or never looking to extend their careers. Sporer looking like someone who wants to play for at least one more set. Big swing from Claire Sporer. Pulls the Panthers within 3.
Would have loved to have seen if Michaela Kianko had been able to get there if not for tripping. I think she caught her own feet there. That would have been a really good get, but Kianko fell a little bit short.
She's chuckling as she stumbled. Back set, Shepievska is picked up. Overpass, Doyle, bang!
Just can't leave that free ball. That's been the case for the past 5 years, 4 years of Julia Murphy just eating it up, and now Doyle is filled in with that role.
That's 10 kills for Sarah Doyle today. That service caught the net. Elliott on 2. Well covered. Tyner hammers it straight into the twine. Uncharacteristically sloppy for Plymouth State over these past few points, and it leads to a timeout from Chris Kilmer. 16-11, Beacons by 5. They can start to smell the conference final here, trying to close the door.
Yeah, right now, if you're Plymouth State, you've got to get a service run. You've got to get a side out and then 2 or 3 points in a row. You don't have to get it all back at 1 point, but the closer you get to 20, if you're down by 4 or 5 points, it's not impossible, but you're putting so much pressure on yourself on every individual point. Cut this to within 2 or 3 once the Beacons get to 20, and you still have a chance because the Beacons might have some nerves that late, recognizing how close they are. This has been a lot better of a match than the first time, and I think if you're UMass Boston, there's a lot to be unhappy with, a lot of things you need to work on, but also the fact that UMass Boston has been as resilient and they've been able to shed some of the nerves we saw in sets 1 and 2. It could lead to some good things going into Saturday because Saturday when UMass Boston faces Keene State, they always bring their best volleyball, knowing how much the Owls want to beat them. Keene State hasn't beaten UMass Boston in, I think, 12 or 13 consecutive matches.
And just one day to turn it around with Friday in between today and Saturday. That's, of course, how the days of the week works. Friday comes after Thursday. Saturday on the weekend will be the championship matchup. Keene already in, 3-set win, though they had to go deep into that 3rd set to take down a sweep. But work still to do for the Beacons here, up 2-1, leading by 5. Now 4 is out of the timeout. A Plymouth State kill goes the way of Megan Bailey.
So that's the side out we were talking about. The Beacons will bring on Maslak and Comments, with Comments as the setter, Maslak as the hitter. And it's weird. We came into this match thinking we wouldn't see a ton of Christina Elliott. She's ended up being the top setter through sets 3 and 4.
Beacons into the net. Basically what we've seen since the 3rd set started, Maslak is no longer playing as a setter. She's coming in for the rotations up front as a hitter, but when she goes to the back, Elliott's taking her place in the setting spot.
And that just shows how mentally tough that Maslak is, because she's continued to be a really good hitter.
7 kills today, yeah.
And how focused Christina Elliott is. I mean, it's very easy when you're taken out of the lineup, when you don't expect to play a big part outside of serving around the rotation occasionally, that she came in here, she was confident, and she's done a phenomenal job filling in.
To the back, Doyle just got it over. Tyner. She was there. And now she fed in the back. Peruch got a piece. It's dunked down. Rachel Maslak's 8th kill, set up by the powerful swing from Eileen Shee.
Yeah, even though she doesn't get credited with that kill. It forced the over, and that's just a very nice job by Maslach, making sure that it was just going down straight at the foot of a Plymouth State player.
Gibbs with a tough serve. That's pushed wide. Did not go down for Francie Schaefer, who has struggled the past couple sets after being the linchpin of the attack the first 2 sets.
And these mistakes are crucial right now. Plymouth State can't afford any more errors.
5-point lead for the Beacons. That's overcooked. Gibbs hammers that one for a service error. The Beacons 13th, 18-14.
This is a great chance for Brenna Peruch, one of those seniors. She's had a great match tonight. Won a nice little run of even just 2 points here would make a huge impact, cutting it back to 18-16, putting the pressure back on the Beacons.
Peruch will be one of the favorites to win Defensive Player of the Year in the conference when those awards are announced. She plays it off the block. Out wide, Beacon block there. Doyle and Maslach. Oh, we haven't heard a ton of the Beacon block today, but coming up in a big spot to keep UMass Boston ahead by 5.
Well, that's their second of the set, and they had just 4 through the first 3 sets, so a slightly better job by UMass Boston here in set 4.
Doyle responds with a service error.
But you can trade points right now if you're UMass Boston. You can if you're Plymouth State.
If the Beacons just side out successfully the rest of the way, they're headed to the final.
And comfortably.
19-15 lead in the 4th set. Beacons up 2-1. She steps in and crushes another kill. That's her 19th of the day.
And Eileen has just been going on a tear as of late. She's had a couple of matches with well over 15. You look at her season high this year. She came up with 22 kills versus Keene State in the Beacons' last home match. She's got 19 today.
Timeout taken by Plymouth State. Yes, she's shown her best in the biggest conference games of the year. That Keene State matchup was a collision course with what most assumed would be home field advantage or home court advantage on the line, and that's what it ended up being. Beacons win means that the Beacons finish this off. They're here at home on Saturday instead of packing into the bus and having to take the trip up to Western New Hampshire.
And Bill, I think the other big thing is we keep talking about she offensively. She's a player who plays all around defensively. Another double-double,
11 digs.
She's been the Beacons' second or third option on serve receive. Another huge match. What Eileen Shee has done this year, she's not going to be the player of the year because her hitting percentage isn't as high as Jess Williamson or Rachel Lamick are the 2 favorites. She doesn't have quite as many kills per set because it's a more balanced offense. But in my mind, the most valuable player is Eileen Shee because what she does for the Beacons all the way around is just so important, especially how much pressure she takes off the other 4 or 5 hitters in the Beacons rotation.
And the fact that, she knew coming in after all the graduations last year that a lot was going to be on her shoulders and didn't miss a beat, stepped right into it.
An honorable mention of All-American a year ago. Hopefully she earns some more postseason awards this fall.
2015 Beacons lead in the 4th set, up 2-1 here in the Little East Conference semifinal. Elliott service. Elliott out for Shee. Back set. Chepievska angles it out off the block. Amelia Chepievska's 7th kill as the Beacons 4 points away from victory.
Amelia has struggled today with some errors. She's been hitting the ball long at points, but has been very aggressive asking for the ball, and that's what you want to see out of a young player in her first postseason appearance.
Great floater from Elliott. There's kill number 20.
Elliott and she have been unbelievable today. The connection ever since Elliott came in and became the setter. I mean, Elliott has probably gone to she 10, 15, 20% more than Maslach in comments, but it's been working.
Plymouth State seniors on their last fumes here, looking to scramble and get back into it. That'll help. One of the seniors, Claire Sporer, puts it down. After a slow start, Sporer now leads the Panthers with 9 kills.
Bill, I'm not sure how many times that's going to be effective where Sporer literally went over the back of Grace Bowers there on the swing.
And how about this? This is where Howland usually serves. Instead, in comes Nikki Flanagan because the Beacons have returned Howland so well today. Beacon block there. Sporer. Eileen Shee. Good dig by Peruch. But the Beacons will win the point. Double contact on the back for Plymouth State. 23-16.
Yeah, this is tough right now if you're Plymouth State. You've put so much into this match. Your 4 seniors have worked so hard to try to get a championship match, and right now they sense that their season is pretty much over.
Another ball handling error, this one on Bailey. One of those 4 seniors. UMass Boston has 8 match points if it needs it here, up 24-16.
And they'll bring in the youngster. It's a chance for Sydney Birch to potentially close this one out.
Birch had some big moments earlier on in this match. That's a good serve. Outside Sporer. Birch digs it. Over on 2, Elliott's there. This is Gibbs, free ball. In the center, Linden. Birch got a piece, and it's about as good an effort as you could hope for, 24-17.
Well, the Beacons are a little short hitting out there with Shee checking out in favor of Sydney Birch. So expect UMass Boston to likely set Chepievska if they can successfully handle this serve.
Kianko does. There's Chepievska, and that's in, down the line. 25-17 in the 4th set. Beacons are headed back to the Little East Conference Championship.
UMass Boston showed their resolve. They didn't play their best volleyball. They had way too many errors. They struggled in every set, at least to begin. But this Beacons team showing off their prowess, and really the combination of Eileen Shee and Christina Elliott. It's a toss-up for which one had the more important match for UMass Boston in today's LEC semifinal.
UMass Boston wins the match 3-1. They had to dig for it, but they're headed back to the Little East Conference Final. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to Beacon head coach Mike Houlihan.
Moving from Turkey, it was a rough journey for me because when you don't really speak the language that well and when you don't really fit in the crowd, it's very easy to disappear. But I decided not to give up, and UMass helped me.
The University of Massachusetts Boston, with its scenic oceanfront campus, easily accessible to downtown Boston, is recognized as a model of excellence for urban public universities. 16 NCAA Division III sports are part of the more than 100 student organizations that create an engaging campus life in America's biggest and best college town. UMass Boston, Boston's urban public research university for the 21st century.
Division III allows you to give yourself to other things.
Having that free time allows me to pursue the things that I want to pursue.
Division III athletics affords students the opportunity to, engage in the other interests in their campus and in their lives outside of that sport.
It allows you to just be able to do everything you want to do. I wouldn't change it for the world.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and I know how powerful words can be. The term gay doesn't mean stupid, lame, or less than.
So I pledge to speak up if I hear the term gay used in a derogatory way or any other homophobic terms.
If you can play in Division III.
I'm a Division III student athlete, and my teammates unconditionally accepted me as part of their family. So now I pledge to do the same for others. If you can play,
by head coach Mike Houlihan. Coach, it wasn't your cleanest of matches, but how good does it feel after going through the roller coaster to be headed back to the LEC Finals, to have a chance to get back to the NCAA tournament with this group?
Yeah, that was good. I mean, we fought for that. It was a bad day to not play well, but that's the first game. We got a lot of young players with not a lot of experience that have to fight those LEC tournament jitters, and I think that's what we had today, and it's tough when you do that against a good team like Plymouth that battles for every point. I mean, it just forced us into some situations that we had to battle. It was time for us to make plays. And that's what we did. We did it towards the end of the stretch. We made the plays, and we tried to step up at the end of the match, and it was the difference. And heads up to Tina, who came off that bench and saved us in that match. I mean, she played lights out, her serve, she set, and she hasn't done that in a couple of weeks, but she's been saving us the last couple of weekends, and really wouldn't have been with that without her.
Yeah, we weren't sure if Christina was the better player, Eileen, tonight in terms of their impact. Can you talk about Eileen? I know that we talk about her pretty much every match, but 20-plus kills, 11 digs, especially in that third and fourth set, when you needed a big kill, it was Eileen, and she's got to be a little tired right now.
I'm sure she is. She started the match off so slow, and we kept telling her, you got to get out of it, and just take it one play at a time, and that's what she did, and she got out of her slump. She got comfortable with her swings, and in set 3 and 4, I mean, she took over. She really did, and at the end, as we just kept saying, give it to her. Until they stop her, give it to her, and they had a hard time with it tonight, and she did what she had to do.
It's the LEC championship match we probably all expected. The two teams started at 4-0 in conference. You beat Keene State a couple weeks ago. What do you need to focus on tomorrow at practice to get ready for the Owls once again?
I mean, we're just going to have to go out, look at some tape, see what we want to kind of do with that match. We did have a good outing versus them, but by no means was that Keene's best match, and we know that, and it's something that we're going to have to look for. I mean, we got a couple of other scouts that we got. I'm assuming they pulled it out since you're talking about them. But that's the thing. We got to just take it one step at a time. We'll get some rest tonight, watch some film, and then tomorrow we'll execute at practice and just keep doing what we're doing.
Coach, congratulations on win number 99. He'll go for 100 in the championship on Saturday. Right now, we'll send it back up to Bill Spalding for the conclusion of our post-game show.
All right, thank you very much, Seth. And you hear the Beacons so excited about how they finished and fought their way through that matchup. Let's take a look at the team stats from today's head-to-head matchup as the Beacons are 4-set winners, 3-1, taking the first, the third, and the fourth set over Plymouth State to advance to the Little East Conference Finals. Beacons found a way to really tough it out in a 3-1 victory here at the Clark Athletic Center. So take a look at the overall stats here. UMass Boston led by Rachel Maslak's .368 hitting percentage. Eileen Shee hit .359 en route to her 20 kills. So the Beacons led by Eileen Shee's kills with 20. On the flip side, it was a good battle for Plymouth State. They really fought. Outstanding work from libero for Plymouth State. You saw the type of impact that Brenna Peruch could make. She had 20 digs on the day to lead the way, and now we will look at those head-to-head team stats. You see overall the Beacons way more kills. They were the much more aggressive attacking team, but Plymouth State defensively really battled, forced the Beacons into some tough spots. Eventually Beacons pulled away in the third and the fourth set. In terms of the team leaders, you know, that we mentioned the day Eileen Shee's had with her 20 kills. So Eileen Shee, 20 kills to lead the way for the Beacons. Plymouth State was led by 9 kills by Claire Sporer. In terms of digs, Michaela Kiyonko had 30 digs for the Beacons. 30 digs on the day. A huge day for Kiyonko, and then 20 digs for Brenna Peruch. I'd like to thank our production team today. Great group as always with Anthony Searles, Tom Nolan directing, Seth Arensky, my broadcast partner, the overall producer, and Sal Frascino on replay, and our cameramen Brian Kaufman, Cassidy Guetta, and Mike Mulligan. For Seth Arensky, our entire crew, Bill Spalding saying so long from the Clark Athletic Center, where the Beacons are winners. They win 3-1. They advance to another Little East Conference Final, which will be held here in Boston on Saturday. Have a great evening, everybody.